Welcome to another episode of the Bottom Line Podcast, where we say what we mean and we mean what we say, because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line. Today's guest is the managing director of Equitas Capital out in Brooklyn, New York. My guest focuses on commercial financing throughout the tri-state area and has about 18 years of industry knowledge. Now, when I say 18 years, that's not something that you want to take lightly. That's a little, I want to say a better part of 2 decades. We're going to just say just 2 decades of industry knowledge. So a couple of cycles you've been through, right? And the reason I want to have this conversation is because I'm hearing that, the commercial real estate market is taking a hit. So I figure who better than to have a conversation with someone who knows how to get through this downturn. Today's guest is Mr. Alex Leykind with Equitas Capital. Alex, how you doing, man? How's the world treating you?
Doing great. Thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited to be here, and the world going with the world flow.
Yeah,
like everyone else.
I hear you, man. Yeah, thanks for taking the time to do this. There's a lot going on, man. How's COVID been treating you since this happened? Since we got hit with the lockdowns and all?
COVID has been it's kind of the world kind of went upside down in the last 3 months.
Tell me about it.
Everything was kind of coasting and moving pretty smoothly, and then
right.
the world kind of stopped at its axis.
Yeah.
COVID's been a little tough. I had personal loss in my family from COVID.
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah.
Thank you. But work kind of the dynamic of work changed and shifted a little bit also, which is good. I am a very big proponent of you have to be agile and flexible, especially in the finance world, right?
There it is. Yep.
You always gotta look
Hats
out
off
for number
to
one,
you.
but you gotta look out for number one, but don't stop at number 2 either, right?
Yep. There you go.
And we've kind of adjusted and accommodated with the market during the beginning of COVID, when the financial world kind of came to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
We were blessed enough to kind of pivot and start giving back to the community and those in need.
Nice.
We did a pretty good job. I'm very proud of my team that have spent countless hours and days during kind of the spike of the COVID pandemic in New York.
Yeah.
Helping small businesses.
Nice.
We ended up helping like 160 small businesses.
Okay.
And New York Metro for like $24 million. Money that went back into small businesses, especially during April, May, June, when a lot of people were struggling. So we're very, very proud of that.
Yeah, congratulations, man. That's good to hear. It's not easy, a lot of people. So part of what I do with the coaching business is I'm helping people create ways to pivot, right? To find ways to pivot, right? Just like running a few scenarios, maybe running a few SWOT analyses on possible opportunities for them to make money, to sustain through the crisis, through this pandemic, right? And we didn't know how long it was going to last. Some people, what's crazy to me, and I want to get your take on this. What's crazy to me is, we're coming into, January 1st, the beginning of the year. Everybody's, ready to get it. 2020 vision. This is going to be my year. Everybody's ready to get it, right? And we get hit with this thing out of nowhere. But it turns out that it was a thing back in 2019. And we could have been better prepared for it, right? We could have definitely been better prepared for it if we knew. So the financial market, right? Like I wake up every morning and I probably, start my day off with opening bell, 9:30, listening to Bloomberg, right? And you don't hear anything about this. So you don't really know how to pivot. So I want to, get your take on it. How did your market specifically in the commercial industry space, how did it get, how did it adjust the day of when you found out you had to, lock down, not going to the office and so on? Was it progressive? Was it gradual? Or was it just like automatic, let's pivot, let's shift, let's figure out how we can help people?
So, unfortunately, as the pandemic kind of grew, I think it grew kind of quickly on us.
Okay.
End of February, beginning of March, kind of, bumps along the road.
Right.
And then, was it March 22nd, March 23rd? Everything just came to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
Okay. And as, the country began to lock down, the financial markets began to lock down, the stock market started collapsing, it was a perfect storm.
Right.
And, at that point in our business, when, the financial market shut down, our kind of day-to-day operations needed to kind of go with it.
Okay.
We did pivot pretty quickly. I am very, very blessed that I have a very strong team around me,
right,
who, even though, they've been working from home, but they've been working.
But they've been working,
probably more hours than ever before.
Yeah.
So,
GSD,
I'm sure they love me for that.
Yeah.
But, it's being from New York, you always got to be tough, right?
Yeah.
That's what New York teaches us.
Yeah.
And, when you have a roadblock put in front of you, you got to figure out how to go around it pretty quick.
Yeah.
And we kind of took a company initiative that when things kind of shut down on our end, we really took an initiative to give back to those in need. That's when everything shut down. That's when a lot of the small businesses shut down. And that's when, people were really hurting. And, it's the least we could do. We've been in this community I've been in this community for 30 years.
Yeah.
Probably more. And, as a member of it, I think that it's not all about take, right? Sometimes you got to give.
You gotta give back. Yeah. Yeah. Pay it forward.
And that's what we did. And, God bless it. It worked. And, we really were able to help some people.
Yeah. Let's peel this back a little bit. I love your mindset, man. You know how to adapt, you know how to pivot, you know how to shift. And what's most important is you know how to serve. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I kind of want to get to your background a little bit, right? Alex Leykind, right? Like, who were you before you got into, your space, this commercial real estate lending space? Who were you? What were you doing with yourself?
So most of my career has been spent in this space.
Let's go back down to like high school. Let's go to high school. Like, who were you in high school?
Listen, Brooklyn kid, went to Edgewood High School.
Okay.
Played lacrosse.
Okay.
Spent my whole life here. Stayed for college, stayed here, went to Hunter College, New York.
Yeah.
Did the whole commute thing like every other, college student in New York. When I was kind of finishing up my college career, always was kind of fascinated with, with the real estate world, with the finance world, especially being in New York, right? This is where all the money is.
Yeah.
Right. Wall Street. Wall Street is the episphere of the,
of
world
the world
financial markets.
Yeah, of the world. Yeah.
And when you're a kid that grows up on the other side of the river in Brooklyn, you look at Wall Street every day. You take the train through Wall Street, and that's where that's what the predominant major forces or industries in our city is.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone does real estate. Very few do it well, but all of us.
Everybody's trying to do it. Yeah.
Everyone's trying to do it because listen, that's one of the major pillars of our economy.
Sure.
And finishing up college, I decided to kind of go into the finance world, and started at the very bottom and worked my way all the way up.
Yeah. Did you study finance in college?
I actually did not study finance in college.
Okay. What'd you study? Yeah.
So I studied political science and biology with a minor in chemistry. So I was one of those guys that had aspirations to make mom happy and be a doctor.
Right.
But that's not where the heart's at. So I decided to, kind of go the other way.
When did you make the shift? Because that's a crazy shift right there.
It was kind of my last year in college.
Okay.
Where I was kind of deciding whether to go to med school or not to go to med school.
Sure.
And just, didn't see my heart in it, and, went into what I wanted to do.
Was it inspired by getting rich, or was it inspired by helping people? Like,
both.
Yeah. I'll tell you my story just so I'm not putting you out there on a limo by yourself, right?
No. Listen, it's both. Listen, I don't do charity work, right?
Yeah.
No one
gotta get paid.
There's no charity work, right? People are in it to make money.
Yeah.
But if you're making money, which listen, look at all the hedge fund guys, right? They're all making a lot of money.
They're killing it. Yeah.
But there's some good ones that, no matter, how well you do or how poorly you do, you never forget where you come from, and, always give back.
Yeah. What's funny about me is like, and I get this like sense of attraction to the sales game where it's like, I just got to be a part because it moves fast. There's always momentum. If there's no momentum, once you create it, it continues to go. You know what I mean? But you have to be in charge of controlling that momentum. So I didn't know that, you know what I mean? And when I first got into it, I was watching, cause like it's motion creates emotion, right? So the more
Absolutely.
I see that motion, the more I want to jump in and be a part of it, right? So kind of like you, I wanted to help people, but I always felt like it was thankless. When I work social work, I work not-for-profit. I was, my parents are like, my father had his own not-for-profit when I was a kid. So I watched him work and help people. He helped people immigrate from Haiti to the States, get them work, help them with ESL. So the whole sense of giving back and helping, that's inherent. Like I saw that as a kid. But we didn't, when you go to school in New York, and I went to public school, I transitioned from Catholic, private school to public school. Sneakers every week on my friends, new clothes every week on my friends. I wasn't getting any of that. So in my mind, I said I want to get rich, right? And then little by little, I just started to like gravitate where I started to have a little bit more control, and then I gravitated towards real estate sales. Now I run into guys, who guys like you, as a matter of fact, who are motivated by the need to help people, to implement change, but then also, who want to get paid, who want to make money, right? So to hear you say you went from I think biology and becoming a doctor to getting into the finance space, what was it like? Were you broke one day? Did you wake up broke one day and you were kind of like, what, I need money?
You know what it is? So I actually, I was one of those kids, like a lot of, New York kids, never had a dollar given to me.
There it is.
Started working when I was 13 years old.
There it is. Yep.
Worked my way through high school, worked my way through college.
Yeah.
And been working ever since.
Yeah.
So, when it's, the way I see it, it's when you don't have it handed to you.
Yep.
And you got to earn it yourself, it means that much more.
Yep.
And, when you wanted that much for, I think it actually goes perfectly with what you said.
Yeah.
The way I see it is what we do, and, our industry, whether financial services or real estate or both,
yeah,
it's a contact sport.
It's
right?
A contact
it takes
sport.
It takes a special personality.
Yeah.
And, that's the driver, right? You want to be better than you were yesterday. You want to be better than your competition.
Yeah.
You want to be able to deliver for every single one of your clients, and that's how you get it.
Yeah, definitely. I hear that. So getting started, I think when you talk about finance, and most guys, when they talk about finance, my mind automatically goes to like Douglas and Charlie Sheen, that movie from back in the day.
Absolutely. ABC.
Yeah, right. Always be closing. And then I think about, growing in the field, like getting your feet wet, making your bearings, right? Making your bones in the game, right? What were some of the things that you had to go through? I'm a young guy coming out of college, it's a cutthroat industry, right? So you probably were not welcomed into the game, right? You're probably looked at as competition as food. How do you adjust?
Absolutely.
How do you adapt? How did you get to where you are today? 18 years of experience.
Listen, it's, you said it perfectly, the competition in New York, in finance,
right?
Everyone from the world comes here to work in finance, to be in New York.
Right.
Right. And, unfortunately, I didn't have an Ivy League school, right? No one wrote a check for me. So,
right.
You have to earn it. You got to want it more than the next guy. And you got to be tough. Listen, you got to be tough. That's what New York taught me.
Yeah.
Right.
Tough,
Listen, we all get smacked in the mouth. We all get hit upside the head.
Right.
It's bumpy. It's painful. At certain times you lose and it hurts.
Yeah.
But the way I see it is, at those points when you kind of hit the lows, when you're first starting out, and you've really got to, separate yourself from the competition.
Yep.
At those points is really when, when there's a setback.
Yeah.
It all depends on the individual, right? So
yep.
One person could kind of take it back and be kind of lose courage and give up on it.
Yeah.
And for some people, it makes you want it even more.
Yep.
Right.
Makes you want it more.
It's kind of that, epitome of an alpha, personality.
The fact you can't have it. Yeah.
It's me or them, right?
That's it. Yeah.
And that's always been the driver for me. I do have a little of a perfectionist in me. So,
right. Little OCD, just a little bit.
Listen, in our world, you got to have it. Right?
You got to have it.
If you don't have it, that's the problem.
Right. There's a lot of accountability in that. Yeah.
But it's a driver. You got to want it more than the next guy. And, I've always thought of it as a competitive sport.
Yeah.
That you got to be better than the next guy. right?
Right.
And that's part of, I guess, New York, right? That's what
Yeah.
New York is, right? You got to
That's
be
what
better
New
than the
York
next
is.
guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the other thing at the end of the day, what I tell people is you're always in competition with the person you were yesterday. You're always in competition
Absolutely.
with that guy. Right. And if, New York is crazy because there's a lot of posturing also, right? You can fake it till you make it. Everybody wears a suit in New York, and you can usually tell what's going on, right? When that person opens their mouth, or, whether or not they have product knowledge, if they have a sense of confidence, what they're doing, if they're scamming, if they're hustling, right? So for me, I take everything with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? Like
That's the New Yorker in you.
yeah, that's New York. That's just the way it is, right? Like you can't even teach
That's
that,
right.
right?
That's
So,
right.
one thing I admire, especially about the finance space and overall in the performance-based industries, right? You gotta count on yourself. You gotta bet the bank on you, right? So somebody with 18 years of experience, there must have been a point where you're running your own shop now. There must have been a point where you became aware of your value, your worth, right? Can you remember, what you're going through, what experience you may have been going through when you realized what you were worth, your value, and how you could, run your own shop or start your own thing?
Sure. So listen, it took me a while to get to that point.
Okay.
It's because, listen, every individual, as I see it, anyone aspiring to do, have their own business,
Right.
whether in real estate or in finance or in any industry across the board, right?
Right.
It takes a certain, jump,
Yeah.
off the edge of a cliff,
Yeah. You gotta be willing to take
right?
that leap. Yeah.
And you gotta pray that you land on your feet. And it basically at a certain point in my career where when I decided to kind of start my own shop, it
Right.
didn't take overnight.
Right.
It took me a while, to kind of get ready, and it took me a while to ultimately, kind of take the plunge.
Right.
Um, but it's when, at least in the finance world, when
Yeah.
you have a rapport with your clients, with your
Clients.
partners,
Right.
when you develop that rapport, I felt, for me at that time, it was the right opportunity
Right.
to kind of spread my wings and go on my own.
Yeah.
Because the way I see it is, and this is kind of my personal philosophy in life,
Yeah.
you don't take a backward step.
There it is. Yeah.
You go forwards.
Go forward.
And listen, sometimes you go forward and you get punched in the mouth, and
now you gotta learn how to
listen,
roll. How to bob
that's
and weave.
possible also, right?
Right. Yeah.
But you never take a backward step.
Right.
So you keep going, you move forward, and God bless, it's so far been working.
Nice. So let's talk to the entrepreneurs, right? Because you have a lot of people, building your own book of business is challenging. First of all, let's go back to the relationships that you started talking about, right? With the trust that you got from your clients, they trusted you. But I'm sure you had to build your book. Is it fair to say you had to build your own book of business?
Absolutely.
Right.
In our industry, it's a book that you build from the first building block, right?
Yeah.
From one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in my world, there is no three strikes. You got to be on your game
all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Right? You got to deliver.
Right.
That's what our world is. You got to deliver.
Yeah.
But by doing the right thing,
right.
By looking out for your client's best interest,
right.
By doing the right thing that's in their favor.
Yeah.
That's what really earns your stripes when it comes to your clients.
Right.
I've done many deals where, I felt, that something wasn't going in the right direction for the client.
Yeah.
And I personally told my clients, to, walk away from a deal or back out of a deal.
Yeah.
Now, listen, my world works as yours. You get paid when the deal closes.
Right.
But, I play the long game. My 100% of my dedication and allegiance is to my clients.
Right.
So, if I got to tell them to walk away from a deal, I'll tell them to walk away from a deal.
Right. Because it's in their best interest.
Exactly. And once you do that once, you build exponential credibility with them.
Sure.
Because they know that you're not the next guy that's, we're going to tell them whatever they want to hear.
Yeah.
Just to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
And my clients come to me, and my clients trust me with millions and millions and millions of dollars of their money.
Yeah.
For the fact that they know that, they're going to get the brutal honesty. If something's off, if something doesn't make sense, if something doesn't work, I'll tell them, don't do it. For me, it's the long game. One more loan, one less loan, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's whatever's in the best interest of the client.
Yeah. It sounds to me like it's about the relationship. It's very relationship centered, right? I had a coaching call today, and the guy that I'm working with, he's thinking about starting his own healthcare business, right? And what he does is, he's a healthcare provider, and he's a little nervous, and I had to explain it to him. I said, listen, you got to have a timeline for yourself, because his relationships are focused on just him, solely just, people will call him and ask for his, like you just said, his expert opinion. He always comes through, he always follows through, and he thinks he has a really solid book of business. So now there's a part where it's getting away from, and I think we start to cross morals and ethics, right? And there's a part where, he feels like there are two business models at play. There's the quantitative business model and the qualitative business model. And he feels like he's more of a qualitative guy, right? Versus a quantitative guy. And I can subscribe to that, because I think, you want to focus more on the quality of the service you're providing versus, the volume once you get to that level, once you graduate to that level and you really understand your industry, right? So what I'm wondering when it comes to you and, going out on your own, and 18 years of industry knowledge, was there a period in time where you felt like you probably couldn't do it, where you doubted yourself, where you felt like, you were good to stay where you were at because it was secure, it was predictable, right? Did you ever go through that at all? Did you ever experience that?
Of course. Listen, I think that's very much human nature. That's just, that's your fight or flight response. That's the hesitation to take the plunge.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, I think it comes to everyone in their career, or at least I could speak for myself, it came to me in my career where it was, I could keep doing the status quo.
Right.
And keep going on that path.
Right.
Or, at this particular time, I felt that, going in my own direction was kind of the best opportunity for me and for my family.
Yeah.
And, I had to weigh a lot of different options, right?
Right.
You have, when you're the breadwinner, you have, people that count on you.
Yeah.
And, those are, some very, very heavy decisions that I completely understand that a lot of people have to make. And like I said, it doesn't come easy. But, at least in my experience, nothing that's really rewarding ever comes easy.
Right. And once you make that step forward, it's like you don't think about going back. Just keep going forward, right?
You don't take a backward step.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question, right? What's crazy right now is, and this is a pivotal time, a lot of transitional. It's a transitional period, right? You've got people that are out of work, they're displaced. You've got people who are looking for unemployment. You got people who applied for PPP, right? And they didn't get it. You've got people who, they received the stimulus check, but it's not enough, right? And then you have some people who have a job, but they're sick of their job and they're overworked, they're undervalued, and they want to do what you did. They want to get out and they want to start their own thing, right? But a lot of it is like, where am I going to park my money so that my money grows, right? So they look at now, when I put my real estate hat back on, right, I work with these kinds of people. I work with the people that are either have a good secure job, so first responders, right, maybe teachers, blue collar workers, okay, your man's man, right, people who are working hard, and they're a little bit nervous. They want to get started in investing in properties. They're looking for long-term growth. They want a little bit more sense of security, financial security. What are some things that you think that you would say to someone right now who wants to, try to make the best out of this from an opportunistic perspective versus saying, oh, this is it. I have to, contract right now and I can't afford to spend. How do you walk somebody through the beginning phases to become an investor and qualify for maybe your services?
Sure, absolutely. So listen, I think that starting off small and going into conservative, low risk investments.
Yeah.
I think that is something that should always be considered.
Yeah.
You don't need to buy, a 30-story building as your first investment property.
Okay.
You could buy a single family home. You could buy a 2-family home. You could buy a 3-family home.
Okay.
Okay. And it doesn't even have to be in New York.
Okay.
To kind of put it even more so.
It doesn't have to be in New York. Okay.
It does not. Absolutely. Listen, New York has its advantages. It has its disadvantages, right?
Yeah.
I think the price points where New York is, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
We're not going to say during or post-COVID because I think the dust really has not settled yet.
Yeah.
I think there's just too much, kind of pollution in the water right now to really see how things are going to settle.
Right.
But, New York is an expensive place, right? Most expensive real estate in the world.
Right.
So, starting off small, buying your first investment property, the upside of New York is that it's, for lack of a better word, almost kind of a sure thing with no guarantees, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But New York, there's always a housing shortage. There's always housing demand.
Right.
Real estate prices will, never drop off 50% in New York.
Yeah.
Like they do in most
Right.
other parts of the country. Like,
Right.
I mean, look at 2008, for an instance.
Middle market.
Even in 2008, New York dropped, 15%, 20%, where, other parts of the country were wiped out at 70% of value.
Yeah.
So it's a very kind of long-term, stable, conservative investment.
Yeah.
Some of the advantages that a lot of, early investors have had is start going, to Jersey, maybe down to the South, where you could get a lot more bang for your buck.
Right.
But it's all proportionate, right?
Yeah.
But a very big misconception is, when I speak to, new clients or investors, they all come to me and say, well, I could get a certain capitalization rate, I could get a certain cap rate in, I don't know, in Charleston or in Charlotte or in Atlanta,
Yeah. Yeah.
I could get an 8% return on my investment.
Well, you're in Atlanta. Right.
And in New York, I'm getting, 4%, 5%.
Okay. Okay. Right.
And my response is, listen, you absolutely can.
Right.
But it's all relative. And what it's all relative to is maybe in Atlanta or Charleston and Charlotte, which are, by the way, I think magnificent markets.
Yeah. Beautiful places.
In those segments of the country, that is their price points.
Yeah.
Everything there's an 8% return, a 7% return, a 9% return.
Based on what figures, though? You know what I mean?
Of course.
Right.
But, in New York, everything is a 4 to 5% return.
Yeah. Right.
It's all about kind of diversification.
Yeah.
But anyone you mention, like the blue collar guys, I absolutely 100% agree. I think diversification of their, retirement or long-term financial strategies needs to be diversified.
Yeah.
Stocks, bonds, annuities.
Yeah.
But, real estate that's where the money is.
So you got people right now who, and this is the crazy thing, creatives, right? Freelancers, salons, barbershops, maybe a bar, anywhere where you can have a mixed use property and you can like have residential up top and, a commercial business downstairs. It sounds like it would be a good investment, but right now people are scared of that because of COVID and, capacity, for instance, right? So look in the city, think about like Chelsea. In Chelsea, you have a lot of mixed use properties, right? Think about Brooklyn Heights. Brooklyn Heights, you have a lot of mixed use properties also, right? And at least they're generating an income on the rental side, but even, during a downturn like 2008 maybe, right? It will still generate an income, but maybe it doesn't pay as high of a yield. And then you still have to apply some vacancy rates when you get people losing their jobs. Now, everything is at a standstill. People can't pay rent. They can't go to work to try to make up for the money that they're missing for rent from the rent, right? So, what I'm hearing a lot is that the commercial industry is actually, commercial real estate is actually who's being negatively impacted right now from COVID. So a lot of opportunists are looking at it as, oh, this is a great buying opportunity, right? So they want to get into a mixed use property. Credit-wise, income-wise, what would you say is a good starting point? Is it still like at a 650 credit to get started? And what would the
So here's kind of my thoughts on that. So
yeah,
right now, kind of the litmus test for the current environment is not a validation of a potential result. What do I mean by that?
Yeah, tell me.
I think that, yes, the commercial real estate market, unfortunately, will be hit, and it's going to get hit hard. I also think that, unfortunately, as of today, there is no bailout, no assistance from any, government entities that are helping commercial real estate property owners.
Okay.
There's more relief on the residential side than the commercial side.
Yeah.
One thing that I do have to give kind of kudos to banks and kind of, give credit where it's due, because they did do the right thing. Unlike 2008, they did step up to the plate, and they did help a lot of borrowers do deferments on, on commercial properties and so forth.
Okay.
Now, because of that, it also caused a kind of a freeze in time to potential hardships or investment opportunities down the road.
Okay.
Because if you kind of think about it, right? So COVID hit end of March, April, May, June, everyone kind of got a forbearance, or, April, May, June, July, whatever.
Right.
So I think in the next 3 to 6 months, as those forbearances burn off, and commercial property owners are going to have to start, paying the bills again.
They're going to start paying, yeah.
I think that is where the rubber's going to meet the road. And I think that's where you'll either see a lot of people get by, or you're going to see a lot of people tank.
Okay.
Now, going into, let's say, the mixed use asset class that you've mentioned,
right?
I think it's a very safe investment, for beginning investors.
Okay.
For the following is because, you have, a little bit of commercial, a little bit of residential, right?
Yeah.
So you could always have one to kind of hedge or offset the other.
Right.
The unfortunate thing is that the commercial spaces, which are predominantly retail classified,
okay,
are extremely hard hit. The retail sector, I like to call, are going through the Amazon phenomenon,
right?
Where, they can't compete. And that's why, the neighborhoods, like you mentioned, like Clinton Hill, go down Montague Street and see how many commercial stores are vacant.
Right.
Because, the property values are so high,
right,
that, your mom and pop shops can't afford to pay the rent.
Yeah.
And you could only have so many Starbucks.
Right. So pre-COVID though, retail was taking a hit anyways.
Retail has been kind of in a downward spiral for the last, several years.
Yeah.
I think COVID might kind of be, the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
But, look at it this way. Look at, on a national scale.
Yeah.
Look at shopping malls. Remember those things? Everyone used to go to the shopping malls, right?
Right.
When was the last time you've been?
Right. Oh man, I just shop online now. I don't want to do all the work. I got work to do.
Exactly. Right. And that's the point, that I think that segment of the commercial market, that's going to feel the most pain.
Gotcha.
That's going to feel the most pain.
Yeah.
I think other commercial asset types, if I would say kind of in hierarchy of pain, it would be retail, then most likely office.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Because, with all the negativity and, horrific things that have been going on with COVID.
Yeah.
I think it was an eye-opener for a lot of businesses.
That we could work remotely. I think a lot of people are like, my team is working remotely now, so they don't have that overhead anymore.
That's it.
Yeah, so I see that. But on a buyer side, though, because you got people who thinking right now, back in 08, you follow anything, from 08, and if you were saving money and you're in the game and you've been through a couple of cycles, I'm talking to some seniors also who say, oh, yeah, this is good. I'm going to liquidate my Roth IRA. Once I get a better idea, 2021, and I'm going to start looking for properties to purchase, then I'm like, I said, that's a pretty good play. But then, is that a good play in New York, right? Is that a good play in like Brooklyn? You know what I mean?
I think that, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity. That's my feedback.
Okay.
I think, New York, Brooklyn, it's always going to carry a premium. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, there will be a discount, but think proportionally that discount is relative to the value of money compared to somewhere else.
Right.
You know, you need to look at it this way, right?
Right.
$1 million in New York will get you a 1-family house.
That's true.
You know, $1 million in the Southeast will get you an office building.
Right. Okay. So where do you want to place your bet?
You know, it's all about diversification. New York is a stable market, but, you know, I always tell and advise all my clients that, you know, you can't look at any given transaction from, you know, the eye lens of this is the building, this is my building and only my building, right?
Right.
You have to look at it from a macroeconomic standpoint, from a microeconomic standpoint,
Yeah.
right? What's going on in the country financially?
Yeah.
You know, same ideas, you know, multifamily property, safest investment.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? If there was no stimulus checks, you know, and people were making money, what are you going to do? You're going to feed the family or are you going to pay the rent?
Yeah.
So you got to look at, you know, you got to look at those global pictures.
Right.
Then you got to go down to the immediate pictures, you know. Do I want to buy into an office building where there is, you know, 80% of the other office buildings are standing vacant?
Mm-hmm.
You know, do I want to buy into that market?
Right.
Now, there's a lot of very smart people that, you know, if you come up with a creative approach, creative strategy,
right,
that, you know, you could hit that home run.
So like a first responder, a nurse, right, whose husband is probably a taxi driver, okay, and is suffering right now. She's got the money, she's got the, you know, the credit, and she wants to get into a mixed use property, and probably try to get something that has like 4 units, 5 units. What do you think is a good entry, some way for her to get into that, financially speaking? Like, how much money should she have away in a nest egg?
So here's the thing. So on the commercial side, unfortunately, you know, if you're buying investment commercial real estate, what you mentioned is actually a good buyer profile, right? You got to have some money in the bank, got to have a good wage. But unfortunately, on the commercial side, the property itself, the commercial asset itself, and it doesn't matter what type of mixed use, multifamily, and whatever, that doesn't matter, is considered, you need to look at that transaction as almost as a business within itself.
Right.
And the way that banks determine the amount of financing that a property could sustain is purely based on the cash flow of the property.
Right.
You know, it's very seldom that you'll get a commercial loan where you got to take money out of your pocket every month to pay the mortgage.
Right.
The property has to be able to stand in itself as on its own as a self-sufficient business.
Right.
So how much income does it bring in? What are the expenses? What's the net income? You know, and the net operating income, the NOI, is kind of the holy grail in the commercial world, right?
Sure.
That will determine how much financing you can get. Now, let's say, hypothetically speaking, the financials are off the charts.
Yeah.
Then, you know, the minimum down payment would be 25%.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. So a basic residential deal. Yeah. But you're looking at the NOI and projected income, though.
Correct. Right? But you got to understand. So there's always a little bit of a discrepancy, especially with, you know, in today's world, you know, where sometimes buildings don't cash flow for more than 50%, or 60%, or 70%, or 50%, or 30%, you know, it's kind of what it is. Don't forget, you know, expenses on the commercial properties are not just taxes and insurance like they are in residential, right?
Yeah.
You got water bills, you know, you got utilities, you got repairs and maintenance.
Right.
You have a lot of different things that kind of go into it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it varies. So looking at, you know, where we're at, we're beginning of the third quarter. We're in a good place. I feel like, and I keep my head here in this space. I want you to understand, you know, I think about it pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, Q1 is really slow. People are still, you know, recovering from, you know,
their hangovers from New Year's.
Yeah, from New Year's. So it's pretty slow. The decision makers haven't made a decision yet, right? You come into Q2, the decision makers hopped off the fence, and then you start doing a little bit of business. You got a little momentum going. Come Q3, though, we're revving it up, right? And so this is where I find myself now. You know, we're revving it up. Okay, so what does that look like for you right now in your space? Is it still going to be? Is there still a lot of activity? Do you see a lot of activity coming over the next 3 months, or you know, do you see things slowing down for you because of COVID?
I actually see this as, at least for me personally, I see this as a great opportunity to expand.
Nice. Okay. What does that mean for you?
So, you know, building my book, taking on more clients, you know, expanding my capital market side, really growing the brand, really growing the business.
Right.
And the reason why I see that is because, the way I see the last 3 months of April, May, and June, it was, we're frozen in time for those 3 months.
Okay.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
But, slowly as, the economy reopens, as things kind of start to unfold, a lot of the financial markets, look at the stock market, right? It's going through the roof. In addition to that, a lot of lenders that were literally put a pause instantaneously and everything are coming back to the table.
Right.
Now, lenders are across the board being more conservative.
All right.
And I personally think valid so. You don't really, this is not the time to push the envelope.
Right.
But the ones that are coming back to the table, they're looking for, opportunities to lend money. That's how banks make money.
Yeah.
And there is money out there for good deals. Banks are lending. There's some weird COVID questions.
Yeah. Right. I'm sure.
That's kind of, the new standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
Another kind of unique thing is that most banks on the commercial side are asking borrowers to put 6 to 12 months of payments aside into escrow.
Right.
Just to make sure that if there's another wave, we got to shut down again.
Makes sense.
To make sure that, there's money available and they don't have to kind of carry it in the bank's dollar.
Right. But
I see it as the beginning of a growth stride.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be ample opportunity.
Yeah.
And, if you kind of play your cards right, I think there's going to be a very big upswing.
So Equitas Capital, who do you help? Who can you help right now? Somebody that who is your target demographic that you can help right now, that you can help them sustain over during the downturn, right? Who can you help?
Sure. So our primary focus is commercial real estate finance. So, commercial property owners, developers, new investors, anyone who is looking to acquire commercial property, any type of commercial property, from the mixed use to the multifamily, to the office, to the gas station, commercial condos, commercial co-ops, developers, doing ground up construction. If they're looking to acquire commercial properties, if they're looking to refinance commercial properties, looking to build commercial properties. In addition to that, we do a lot of work for small businesses when they're looking to buy their first property to expand their business into.
Nice.
We do a lot of government assisted financing through the Small Business Administration, for, it could be your local bakery, it could be your, local clothing store, it could be your local doctor, it could be your local attorney that's, finally ready to take the plunge and buy their first building for themselves and relocate their businesses into.
Okay.
Yeah. So, kind of cover the gamut like that.
Nice. And then how do you help them pretty much? How do you help, I guess, people who are trying to acquire right now? So people who want to acquire right now, some things that they can call you directly and they can say, hey, Alex, I know you're out there. What are some things you could do for them immediately?
Sure. So, immediately what we do for, all our potential clients, for all our clients is, we set up a time to really sit down with them quote unquote, sit down with them at this point. Right?
Virtually sit down with them.
Virtually. And really kind of understand what their business plan is.
Got it.
Using our experience, using my experience, we'll kind of tell them what are the weaknesses of their business plan, what are the strengths of their business plan.
Yep.
And then our job is to help facilitate the execution of that business plan. Nice. If a client comes to us and says, I want to buy this multifamily building, right? We'll help them and kind of guide him from, I want to evaluate this building, we'll run all the financial models for him. We'll do all the analysis for him. We'll help align the lenders for them. We'll go to market and get him the best terms from, 10, 20, 30 different banks, whatever we have to do.
Nice.
To make sure that we can implement the right strategy and business plan that will align with theirs to execute on the transaction.
Nice. All right. Love it. Yeah. And where do people find you, Alex? Are you online?
So social media, Equitas Capital Group, Facebook, Equitas Capital Group. You could reach out to me directly. We're going to leave my number on the bottom, or it's 646-637-7510.
Yeah.
Alex at equitascapitalgroup.com.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Many different ways.
Yeah. So now we're gonna do the last part that I love to do is the hands down lightning round. I give you 5 topics. You tell me hands down what your bottom line is about it. All right. And if you
Sure.
don't like the topic, you just go ahead and pass. You say pass, and I move on to the next one. All right.
Let's do it.
Okay. So first one, Mike Tyson's comeback.
Pass.
Pass.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay. I see where you're going with this.
He's coming back though.
I know.
Yeah, he's donating for charity. It's a good time. I love watching the guy with his sparring sessions. All right, next one. Favorite sales movie of all time?
Ooh, Glengarry Glen Ross.
Glengarry Glen Ross. That's such a classic. Yeah, love it. Love it.
Yeah. Old school soul.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Wow. You just got me. All right, next one. City life or suburban life? What's best for you?
City life.
City life. All right, love it.
New York kid, you can't take it out of me.
Can't take it out. I hear you. Okay. Next one. Favorite place to eat?
Oof. That's a oof.
Yeah.
Luger's.
New Yorker.
Luger's.
Peter Luger's Steakhouse. All right, my man. I hope they open back up, right? Are they open back up? How are they doing?
They're doing. They're still kicking.
Yeah.
They're still kicking.
All right. Peter Luger's, straight from Alex Leykind. He knows a good place to eat. All right. And finally, what is your bottom line? That reoccurring truth that you that no matter what, in spite of any setback, you go back to this truth. It's your anchor. It serves as your anchor, and it's your bottom line. What is that for you?
Personal philosophy is, like I mentioned earlier, move forward.
Move forward.
And no matter how hard it gets,
yeah.
No matter how painful it is,
yeah.
Move forward. That's my bottom line. Don't take a backward step. Keep moving forward. Keep going. Keep pushing. Keep drilling. And it's all about will. And if you have that will and you keep moving forward, listen, they're not all strides, right? Sometimes it's baby steps.
Yeah.
But as long as you keep moving forward, you're going to get to where you want to go.
Love it. That's right. This was the bottom line with Alex Leykind with Equitas Capital out in New York City, Brooklyn, New York specifically. Thanks for taking the time, Alex.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It was a lot of fun. And catch you in the next one. This is the bottom line again, where we say what we mean and we mean what we say, because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line.